Hey guys, welcome back to another agent interview. Today we've got one of our students in our training program, Peter Diaz. Peter, thank you so much for being here today.
You got it, man. Thanks for having me. Humbled.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you and I have been doing a lot of work together for the past couple of months. Kind of want to walk people through that journey. Want to get right into it. So tell people that are watching this where you're from, how long you've been in real estate.
Sure. So I'm born and raised New Yorker, Brooklyn and Manhattan, and live out in the suburbs now, but I still cover Manhattan and Brooklyn. And I have a team in two offices. And I've been in real estate full time. It'll be 3 years, September. So I had a license, dabbling. I got a license because I was frustrated with the process of buying a house when I bought my house. And so I got a license just to sort of get my house right and get my own commission, basically.
Yeah.
And then I sort of I had a 9 to 5 corporate 500 career. And then that blew up in 2010 with the economy crash in '08, right? So 10, my company said, you got to move to Buffalo, New York, which is about 7 hours from here, about 30 degrees colder. So my wife said, well, that's not going to happen. So I ended up working for BMW. My dad's a big car guy, and we love cars. So I've worked for BMW for about 6 years. Salesman, interesting career. Had a lot of fun, but again, that's another industry where your money went down, your grosses went down, and I needed a change. So I know that a lot of guys were doing really well in real estate, but they were full timers. They were sort of like, dude, you got to no, shit or get off the pot. Like you're dabbling here, you're dabbling there, and so you'll be okay at both, right? So I ended up taking the leap about September of 17. I took the leap, and here I am.
I love it, man. I love it. So, how was it that you and I crossed paths? Because there's a cool story that you tell in our first experience together, and it was kind of along those same lines as far as taking some action. Let's move forward.
Yeah.
This is what we're going to do together.
So
walk people through that story. That's kind of funny.
yeah, so it's fun, and I was thinking about my journey starting with Ron, who's amazing. I love that guy. He's your sales partner, and Ron's like the good cop to your bad cop, right? Like, and you're both very good, just in different ways. And so Ron was like sort of, doing his thing, like, following up, which is that's one thing I've learned from this program. By the way, we'll get into that, but his follow-up was great. Wasn't pushy, just sort of, hey, what's going on? The first time you and I spoke, you were sort of like, you're busy. You're a busy guy. You got a lot going on. You have a successful career. You have a coaching program. You own real estate. You have a family like me. So we're busy guys. But I wrote, what did he say to me? And the first time I was like, I don't like this guy. I loved you, right? Because I found you on YouTube. And
For sure.
It resonated with me. I was probably doing a shiny penny search, right? I was, shiny penny syndrome, and I was looking for something, and you came across my YouTube. But the second time you said to me, well, Peter, it's either their money or you're not confident you're going to do the work. And that triggered me, right? I got off the phone, and it triggered me because it made me look inward, and I didn't like what I saw. So, but I was mad at you, right? But it was really me. I was like,
right.
Who the hell is this guy? And then the second time you were like kind of done. Ron's pushing, right? It's like 2 months later, and Ron's like, hey man, what do you think? Let me get Brandon on the phone. And we were talking like, Pete, I don't normally do this, but like, listen, man, I don't have a lot of time. So what are you gonna do? I'm like, well, let me wait till Monday. It was Friday. And you're like, all right, dude, well, we'll wait till Monday. And if we don't hear from you, then you're full of shit. And I was like, oh, well, I'll show him. I'm going to pay the $1,500 and not even do the program just to show Brandon, that I wasn't full of shit. Meanwhile, it's like, well, you're full of shit, right? Because you're not. Anyway, long story longer, here we are, and what an amazing program. You're an amazing coach, and the support and, the whole crew is just, Colton and Jen and Ron. It's a really great system. And then, you got to change the name at some point, because this has helped me with multiple facets of my career. Because I can't call FSBOs right now. It's illegal, technically, right? In New York, you can't cold call anybody. So I've learned a lot on the journey. But yeah, that was you did that. You told me I was going to be full of shit. I wanted to prove you wrong. for the wrong reasons, for my ego's reasons probably. Then I met Yorman. Yorman's not from here. Young guy from Florida, doing real estate in Texas, grinding it out. And I was like, man, this guy's like, he's doing his thing. He's got no excuses. There's no reason for me to have no excuses. And I think you had called me out one more time because Ron texted me. He's like, hey, Pete, Brandon wants to know if you went back to selling cars because you hadn't seen me on the platform with the group.
That's right.
So, I know I'm a pain in the rear end, but, it's I'm a good dude overall. And I appreciate the encouragement and the belief and the push really was good.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to do this interview with you today, Peter, because you are a good dude and you have such amazing potential. You've got great skills. You've got great experience that can serve you in real estate. And, I get frustrated, when I see someone that has so much potential that they're leaving on the table. So that's why I like pouring into guys like you, because of the success that I know you can have in this business that has served me and my family so well over the past 15 years. I know you can have the same thing for you. So now kind of walk us through, that's a really cool story of how we met, how we ended up getting into business together and how we ended up working together. Now that you are in kind of our training system, what are some big ahas? And you're right, by the way, today we coach on for sale by owners, but we're working on broadening that to helping real estate grow their business. But what are some big things, Peter, that have really helped you so far in our work together?
Well, the first thing would be looking, again, from the get-go, from our initial sales conversation, quote unquote, it was looking at the man in the mirror and seeing what's ailing you, what's bothering you, what's stopping you. And a lot of the stuff that's stopping you are conversations you create in your own head. Right, we create these conversations with for sale by owners or potential clients that happen, dude. It only happen in your head, and you're overthinking, and you're like, oh, never mind, I won't call because they're probably gonna be an asshole, and I'm not gonna call that guy, so forget it. Right,
yep.
And on top of that, then you start learning about systems. Right, I'm a great rapport builder. I was a very good BMW salesman. I had somebody at BMW that would do my follow up, so I was sort of spoiled because she would follow up with my clients that came to visit and then bring them back in or whatever, right? So she did more than half my job, which is the follow-up, which we always say that's where the money is. So that's sure. You showing, I've been in coaching before, and they've all been good for their own reasons, and I'm not going to bash any of them. But you actually show us like, okay, like, dude, hold our hand, like step one, this, step two, that. And if you can't do this, you got to look at yourself, right? You got to look at what you're doing. So the follow-up and the systemization is what I've learned, and getting over myself and just pushing through that. Hey, don't attach any emotion to it. Next, right? Regression to the mean. Nothing's as it seems. Those things are huge. Those are big for me. Those last two, because it's a numbers game. That's all. Real estate can be very boring. Call, follow up, visit, reach out, follow up, and then you get that percentage, and that percentage equates to your commission at the end of the year.
That's right. It's a very simple, very boring, high-paying job. And that's what I try to get across to people. It's like there's not a lot of industries where you can make more than doctors, make more than lawyers, make more than brain surgeons. We can make $500,000 or plus $1 million a year selling real estate, but you have to be willing to be bored and do the same thing over and over again, detached from the outcome. So walk people through some recent things, some recent wins that you've been having as a result of our work doing together. And here's the deal. I've only shown you what has worked for me. Make no mistake. You've done the work. You've got the result for yourself. What are some recent things that have happened in your business?
Sure. So let me just go to like a quick losses, right? Because we're in the failure game. It's almost like I think you say it's like working out. You have to fail to get stronger, right? You have to keep pushing your muscles and pushing yourself till you fail. As the more you fail, the stronger you become. Same sort of thing. So once you get over that you're not going to bat 1,000, man. Like you want to bat 300, and you're an all-star. So right. One was I try to bullshit the system. Because the initial meetings are great. Setting up the preview appointments, those are a home run because initially they're like, yeah, of course, yeah, come over, man. Like this is before COVID, obviously. Yeah, come on over. Yeah, you can see my place. Bring me a buyer. Great. I'll be there, this Tuesday. So I started doing that. What I got caught up with, I try to shortcut the system, and he'd say, you have a buyer. And I'd say, well, there's one guy, $1.5 million house out here in Long Island. I said, well, I work with a lot of, instead of saying, well, using this, the line or the script, I said, well, I have a buyer. I work with a lot of reload, because I do. I work with a lot of reloads, corporate guys that moved from Manhattan out here now by me, which is sort of like the Rochester to Detroit analogy, or Grosse Pointe, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So the executives move from Manhattan, they move out here. So I sell in both markets with some partners. And what happened was I trapped myself, because now the guy thinks I have a buyer. I'm in the house. Me and this guy hit it off, but he's just, now I can figure out how to pivot, because I never planted that seed of, by the way, if 30, 60, 90 days go by and you haven't sold this, are you looking at other options? I didn't do that. And then I got stuck. So I made a nice friend, but that was it, right? Which is,
That's right.
So then I learned from that. And then moving forward, I sort of planted the seed. And then I came across this really good listing in a town I know well, because I have friends that live there. It's a high-end town, $2.3 million listing. And I was like, no, I'm not going to call it. Guy's probably an asshole. Never mind. But I kept staring at it. I kept coming across, because my buddy from Manhattan, he called me, and I said, let me just call the guy. Of course, I did the old, don't pick up, please don't pick up, right? And I got his machine, and I left him a good message that you taught us to leave. And he called me back, and he was like the most nicest. He was like the nicest guy. I'll try to make this a short story, but it's interesting the way it went through. So fine, great, call me back, nice guy. I said, hey, would you be offended, right? Another language pattern you taught us. Would you be offended if I stop by Saturday to see the house? He's like, well, I'm having an open house at 3. I was like, I said, and I knew he had kids. I said, well, I have someone with the kids. Do you mind if I come earlier, because, I'm busy at that time? And he says, yeah, man, you know what? He goes, you've been one of the nicest agents that reached out. Everyone's trying to like convince us to sell over the phone, like a bunch of hacks out there. And you've been like super courteous and like professional. Yeah, come by, man. No problem. Went by. Guy's a car guy too. He had a Beamer also. It's similar to the one I used to have when I worked there. Hit it off. Great rapport. So we're sitting at his table and we're talking. And he started telling me what his goals are. And they say my house is worth 2.6. But in my head, I ran the comps. I'm like, this house is not worth 2.6. There's no way. So I'm like, fuck. He's going to think it's worth. I'm going to tell him I think you should price it at 2 and let him bid up. And while I'm with him, I said, well, listen, nice to meet you. He gave me water. I was like, look, I know you're selling your own. I'd love to be part of the conversation should you change your mind and decide to interview agents. He's like, yeah, man, of course. He's like, you know what? My neighbor's an agent and my wife's friend's an agent. I was like, damn it, this is a disaster. I should, and now I start like sweating, because I'm like, now I'm anxious about that. So I walked out of there somewhat happy, but a little bit humbled by it. And I was like, damn it, he's got 2 agents. But when I was in the car, I started thinking, what would Brandon do? What do I do here? So I said, all right, let me think this through. He's got 2 agents. He's conflicted. He'd rather probably not hire either one and offend the other one, right? So even though, smart. Right? So normally you would say to us, like, if they have an agent who's a friend, just move on. In this case, I sort of had to look back at the situation and say, wait, he doesn't want to offend either one. So we kept pushing through. The guy dragged us through a long time. He kept talking to me. Finally, he said, well, we really like you, but you don't live or work in this town. You don't have an office. Now, I cannot overcome that objection. But at that point, I figured, you know what? Let me bring my friend in who works for another company in that town. That's what we did. We brought him in. It was a little bit of, of a struggle. My buddy was cool. We're good. But then ultimately, he wanted to hire his wife said, well, I want to hire so-and-so. So we had to sort of like come together. It was a little tricky, but, we put it on, we lowered the price, and it's in contract in 7 days, which is, 4 offers. Wow. So that was, now look, this is an area in New York, right? So there are a lot of guys that we have on the group that are amazing hustlers. So for me, it's just a function of where I live. It's just the average price is like 1.2. I mean, it's insane. But that means it's more competitive also. So it's a lot more agents here, quality agents for the most part. But yeah, man, that was like, from a dollar standpoint, housing wise, and it got you over that fear of like, yeah, call $2 million. Who cares? It's just a guy, just another guy or girl, and just have the conversation. Don't be pushy, because as you can tell, we've shared those stories where people are like super pushy, or like you saw that script I posted at one time where the guy was like trying to prove the homeowner wrong over the phone, you're not going to win. And now I'm just using, now I got another win because I have another FSBO. I couldn't call her, but I emailed her. And I emailed her a bomb video that you suggested. She's like my mom's age, nice lady, nice house, probably 800 grand. She's buying another place. And I sent her a video, just said, hey, this is Pete. And I did the screen share option where I showed like the comps and sort of what's going on. I'm like, well, Zillow says this and Trulia says that. So I don't know until I see the house, but this is the range. And then she set up a FaceTime appointment with me, and that, again, I followed up. That came from you. And that just came from you. And then with my own, I have a mortgage company that gives me leads, Facebook leads. Same thing. I use the same process now where I send an email, video. They sort of like almost feel like they know me. The woman, she's like, hey, hon, like she knew me because I did like a friendly video. And like you said, once you get a voice and a face, people start to feel more comfortable with you. And then they're like, okay, it's not just an email, right? Or just a text or a call. It's like a person, it's a human being.
That's right. Yeah, I'm excited for you, Peter. I think that you've got an awesome future ahead of you. What does that look like in your mind? What do you think that, what lies ahead for you the rest of 2020 and beyond? What are some of your goals, and what do you think you can accomplish using reverse selling to your advantage?
Sure. So, I mean, my pre-COVID numbers and post-COVID have changed slightly, but I do see them. It was like the really quiet market. Like in Manhattan, we dropped 82% in listings year over year. I mean, it's insane. And there's a lot of fear and a lot going on. Now, again, you used to be a Keller, I shifted. I shifted a little bit to focus on the suburbs because the Manhattan people are moving out here. Yeah. And houses are trading pretty well out here, as you can see by this other listing and a couple other there. They're going to contract. People still want housing and the rates are really low. So, I mean, my goal originally was probably, 40 million in sales. I'm going to cut that probably by half because right now we're already in May. I had a pretty good January, February, and then boom, like literally my last closing was like a week before COVID in Manhattan, and then everything was just shut and everyone sort of froze. So it's going to take some momentum to get back in action. And being out here, it's a lower price point than Manhattan, and the commission's a little bit lower. So I would say like I'm shooting for 20 to 25 million, in sales out here, which is about, about 30, let's call it 30 transactions, 30 sides.
And
so that's my goal.
If you do that, what does that pay you? Does that get you to $500,000 or what does that look like?
Yeah, it's like a little more, slightly more than that. But tax, you gotta make sure Uncle Sam, you set that aside, 20, I usually put 20% aside. Expenses, you want to have some marketing budget, so it's like 10%. I'll probably get an admin. So it's not, once you start taking everything out, the net's still good. It's just I have like I have 2 young daughters and a wife, and I want to set goals for them so that they I have a college fund and I have all that stuff. I'd like to get into multifamily investing like you do, and in the next year, I guess. But that's my, those are my goals. And I have someone at Keller. We speak once a week, and we go over my goals and how you're progressing. And again, it just froze me for a month. I was frozen here. I was like, what do I do? Can't call anybody. I'm what the hell? The market's crapping out. It was scary, for a bit, but I think you'll see some attrition from the agents. I was lucky that I have a reserve, and I have a wife who's a teacher, and she gets paid and she has benefits. So, thank God.
That's awesome. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm excited to see is that next evolution for you. Once you do bring on an assistant, and all Peter's doing is, communicating with potential clients and meeting with potential clients where your business can get to 40, 50 million, making $1 million plus in income. I'm excited to be along that journey with you. I've only worked with 2 agents that I helped to get over that $1 million in commission mark. So I'm excited to hopefully help you get there as well. So what advice would you give people that have been taking old training advice and looking at what it is that we teach? What advice would you give people if you were coaching an agent in today's world, how we need to be communicating with the consumer?
Sure. I think it's all about bringing value. not about, beating your chest. Like I'm like humbled to be on here. I don't like want to, like just be humble. This is how I can help you. This is how we get to the next chapter, bring value, follow up. Don't be pushy. No one likes to push. I mean, again, like you said, it'll work, but would you ask your girlfriend on the first date to marry you? It's like insane that you would do that, right? Same, that analogy holds true for these people. Like they don't even know, first, like, who is this guy? Then they get to know you, and then well, do you know this house sold for this? Do you know this? And so you want to know your market, bring value, give them advice that would help them, almost like help them sell, like let them sell.
That's right.
Right? Because they might refer you. I mean, I've had that before where like it didn't work out for whatever reason, or FSBO sold on their own. Like, oh, you were a good guy. Like, my friend's selling in Upper East Side. Okay, great. So you come from that and it becomes exponential. So do that. And do I do the, right before you, I do like the 5:30 a.m. Well, not anymore right now. Right now I'm a 6:30 a.m. guy, but, work out, try to meditate. I'm trying to look, I have a lot of improving to do. But I'm working on it. And that's the only thing is progress. That's the key, is to keep progressing, keep moving forward, keep learning. I'm learning so much from you. I mean, you're like, what you charged me, dude, was, I couldn't believe I bitched about it. It's, you have to take the leap of faith. And at some point you can't just keep looking at all the different shiny pennies online. You have to go with your gut. And you resonated with me. The program resonated with me. The interview is like, oh yeah, that's like my style. I'm not pushy. I'm more like, I know how to sell, but I'm not pushy. I know how to like walk someone through a funnel and discuss and figure out their objections and get to them in a way that's not abrasive. So I would say stop the old school methods, learn how to do this, learn how to bring value, and it'll come back to you. Sort of the golden rules type of mentality.
That's great advice. And you're exactly right. I think that what we try to teach people is when we can communicate with humans where the other person on the other end of that communication doesn't feel that we are only there to take something from them, but they feel that we're there to give them something without any expectation of returning anything in return, or getting anything in return, is the only time where we can have a real human connection. And that is where sales is shifting towards, is this servant mindset versus this taking mindset. Because as salespeople, naturally, people don't like us. They feel very threatened by us. And so we have to get better. We have to provide more value. We've got to detach from the income or outcome. So Peter, thank you so much, man. I'm excited, dude, for you. I'm excited to kind of watch your career. I am humbled also to be in your life. It's why I do what I do, to be in the lives of people like you. So I feel the same way, man. So I'm excited.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, I'm saying you resonate with me because you're a dad. You have goals, and I can appreciate that. And not that everyone's a dad, but it's just, the point is that everyone has goals. If you're a single guy, you have goals. But I have goals for the kids, and seeing you with your family and understanding that that's the goal, right? I mean, of course, we want like a 9/11 one day or things like that, but ultimately, it's about how can I make them happy? How can I get them prepared for school so there's no stress? Those things really resonate with me. And like we get you Tuesday and Thursday, man. Like I didn't know that, like that's amazing. That those calls that we do, never mind the FSBO domination program. Those calls teaching us how to speak, what to learn, like watching Jade Rowe, the young guy, just like cranking it out and like pushing through. Ronnie or Lori just breaking your chops on script practice, and they're so good. Like they prepare you, and like you get to meet these really great, dynamic people in this program.
That's cool, man. So if people want to connect with you, thank you for that. If people want to connect with you on social media, where's the best place?
Sure. On Instagram, I'm at Pete Sells NY. And feel free to reach out to me. And, I'm at Keller Williams or Peter Diaz or P Diaz at KW. You can email me. I'm happy to chat. If anyone has any questions, I'd love to give back. So that's not a problem.
Awesome. I'll link all Peter's stuff beneath this video. Peter, thank you so much, man. Best of luck to you, and I'm sure we'll see you soon. All right, buddy?
Yeah, you got it. Have a good day.
You too.
All right, bye.